Not drinking for like 2 days was doing it to me because I've been trying to cut down. And then after 24 hours or so, the DTs set in, so I'm all shaky and sweating. And I'm like, this sucks.
How much do you drink?
So I used to drink like 18 pack plus a day. Like I'd get an 18 pack and like 4 tallies and chug that in just a day. No problem. Now, if I can kill a 6 pack in a day, I'm doing pretty like froggy. I've been trying to keep it to like 2 or 3. Just so I can keep meter, because eventually I'd like to be able to...
2 or 3 6-packs?
No, beers, just beers.
2 or 3 beers?
Out of the 6-pack, yeah, because I've been, for the last year, I've been trying to cut it down, because for the longest time, I drank whiskey, like half gallons every 2 days, just chugging it, and then eventually I started getting the shakes, and I started DTing, and I was like, I need to start cutting down on this, so
how many years did you do that?
That started like 2 years ago, and then, I cut all hard alcohol out of my... I was like that, I can't drink that and be able to survive. So I got to just switch to beer, and it started with way too much beer. Way too much beer. And then I've been slowly trying to even it out, because like eventually I'd like to be able to, go 2 or 3 days without drinking a beer, be able to drink my water and my juice and stuff. And then if I want to have a beer, I can have it instead of the beer telling me that I need to have it. I had a really bad Coke addiction when I was younger, and I learned then that like if you let your addiction take over you, it's literally going to run your life. And I don't need something as simple as alcohol trying to run my life. I quit smoking, and that was easier. And they say that shit's just as addictive as heroin, man. And if I can quit that, I know I can quit this. I just need to keep metering it out like I am. That way the DTs get less and less, and then eventually they just won't be there.
That's what common sense would tell you, that is the way to get off some of these drugs, is to
wean yourself off.
Because
with Coke, I did not do that. I made the dumbest decision of my life. I just cut myself off cold turkey after like a year of doing it. The DTs were so bad, I thought I was having a heart attack
How did you just go cold turkey on?
So I quit calling my dealer, and so I had a joke with my buddy. So I'd buy $600 worth of blow. He'd buy $600 worth of blow, but we'd give it to each other. That way we didn't have the addiction. We're just giving each other a present. And that happened for about a year, and then like I watched my bank account just basically to zero, and I couldn't do it anymore. And he came over one day, and I was like, I didn't buy you a present this week. And he was like, I didn't buy you one either, dude. I think we have a problem. I was like, well, I took 2 weeks off of work. He was like, I did too. I was like, cool, I got a spare bedroom. We're gonna spend the last 2 weeks in here, and we're just gonna kick it. That first week, I thought about breaking every window just so I could escape, but I was on the 3rd floor, so wouldn't have worked very well.
You told me earlier that your dad locked you into a room?
Yeah, I had him come over and turn my padlock around so he could lock me in my house so I couldn't go, and he'd show up twice a day, make sure there was food and water, make sure we were good to go. Like if we were sweating in the middle of the floor, he'd come and grab our laundry for us and go do it. Like my dad was my best friend. He was a great man.
You see, he locked you in your room.
My apartment.
Your apartment.
He turned the entire twist lock around so he could lock it from the outside, and we couldn't unlock it. Brilliant, because he had the key, we didn't.
Why do you drink?
Basic redneck story. I grew up in a little cow town called Snohomish. So it's 5 or 6 years old. Hey, Dad, can I have a drink? I'm thirsty.
That's Washington State.
Take a sip. Yeah, up in Washington. Yeah. And you'd take a sip of beer when you're like 5 or 6. And then by the time you're 12, he's like, we're out by the bonfire. You can have a beer. And then by the time I was 16, full blown, I had a full beard and mustache by then. So I could walk into 7-Eleven and go pick up a 12 pack if I wanted to. Like, they didn't card me back then. I'm pushing 40, man. This was back before they actually cared. And like, I'd go in, pick up my 12 pack, 18 pack, whatever. Me and my buddies go over to my place and we just drink. And then it just spiraled and snowballed from there. That's why I made the decision consciously that like I gotta start cutting down, because I'm pushing 40. Like that's how people die.
But what has drinking done to your life?
Honestly, the drinking didn't do much. Sadly enough, like I always made sure my bills were paid. Like me and my wife have almost $20,000 saved up. That's why we're traveling. Like I've always made sure my bills were paid, but like the feeling is what kills me. Like when you go out that one night and you drink those 3 too many beers, and then you wake up and your head's all foggy and your stomach's messed up and you want to eat but you can't. I hate that. Like I love food. I'm a fat kid. And not being able to eat food because my stomach's all queasy because I decided to have 8 beers instead of 3, that's on me. That's my dumbass addiction brain saying, oh, no, you'll be fine. It's all right. It's just one more beer. It's just one more beer. But that one more turns into 4 more, which can turn into 10 more. And then you wake up in the middle of your freaking kitchen with vomit all over the floor. And you're like, this is not how I want to live my life. Like, at all. So we killed our lease where we were living. We put everything in storage, paid a year of it. And we were like, hey, we got to go. It's not going to get better for me here. All my buddies are hardcore drinkers. Even some of my associates are just hardcore drinkers. And if I stay here in Port Angeles, because I moved to Port Angeles after Snohomish, that's where I met my wife. But I was like, if I stay here, I'll die. Like, I will literally pull a leaving Las Vegas, and I will just end up drinking whiskey until I can no longer hold my bodily functions anymore, and I'll just die. And I knew I had to get out of there, so I was like, dude, let's just travel for a little while.
Is there a self-destructive streak?
No, that's the weird part. Like, I'm the one that talks people out of doing self-destructive stuff. I don't even ride motorcycles. That shit's scary. I mean, I've gone really fast in a car before, but I was on a racetrack. You know, that was a controlled environment. But like, when I have cars, I don't speed. Like, I don't try to go cliff diving. Like, the scariest thing I do is surf, and that's just because there's big ass sharks out there. Like, I'm not big into the whole self-destructive thing. Like, my family's always been like, if you can pick yourself up by your bootstraps, do it. If not, ask for the help. And I've only had to ask for help two times. The first time was after we lost our son at 32 weeks. Not when it hurt. But I had to ask my aunt. I was like, I got to stay at your house for a couple weeks. She was like, why? I was like, because I'm going to go buy like a gallon of whiskey, and I'm going to drink the shit out of it. And if I'm at your house, I can't drink that much. You'll give me a beer or two, and I'm cool with that. And then the second time was after my dad died. I actually had to ask my brother's sponsor if I could stay with him for a week. Because it's the same thing. I was like, dude, I'm going to go buy as much vodka as I can. I'm going to see how much of it I can drink before I die. And yeah, I've only had to do it twice, but I knew I had to do it. Because if I didn't, I would have probably killed myself. The worst 2 days of my life, honestly.
What's your biggest fear now?
My biggest fear now is for my kids. I got a son and a daughter. And like, I don't want them to have to grow up like I did. Like, I was super poor when I was a kid. Super duper. I mean, there were nights when I didn't get dinner. And I had to like sneak stuff from lunch at school to bring home just so me and my little brother could have something to
Well,
snack.
you're living homeless now. You're not making much money.
So my wife has Social Security. She collects native benefits, and I'm paid by the government to be her caretaker. We actually pull in almost $3,000 a month. That's why we're able to travel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And like, yeah, it's just, I needed a change, and staying there wouldn't have done anything. Like I said, I just would have drank, and I would have ended up actually homeless. My wife probably would have divorced me for being a useless fuck. Like, I mean, I've been landscaping since I was 16 years old and working in kitchens the same amount of time.
Is there something you're trying to escape?
No.
The drinking?
Oh, God, no. Drinking, I just like the way it makes me feel, honestly. As long as you don't do too much, it's great. Like, 2 or 3 beers, you're in that bubbly, like, I'm a happy place kind of thing, and I can normally stop after 2 or 3 beers, but if I'm around one of my buddies or another person who's like, oh man, come on, just one more round, one more round, like, all right, one more round. Well, that one more round will turn into 5 more rounds. And then I wake up the next day and I'm like, why in the hell did I go hang out with him? I knew it was gonna happen. Like, just ridiculous. But I knew it was gonna happen, so that's why I was like, we gotta go. And I have family in Oregon that we visited on the way. And then our buddy Chris has family here in California that we visited. And now we're going down to Arizona to see her family. And then eventually we're gonna go over to New York, because that's where my cousin owns his own restaurant up in Albany. And he was like, dude, you show up, I just want you to cook for me for like a week. Just like a week. I was like, dude, I can do that. And he's doing it because he knows I can't drink before I go into the kitchen, because I've worked in so many kitchens. You don't drink before you go into a kitchen. That's how you lose a thumb. So that's his way of being like, I can make sure to keep you sober at least half the day. And then after that, it's up to you. But I know I can keep you there for 8 hours, and you can't do anything but drink some apple juice and be happy.
Is there any chance this plan won't work?
No, we already have all our tickets booked and everything.
No, I mean just to stop drinking.
Well, see, that's the thing is I don't want to stop. I just want to be able to cut down enough where it's not controlling anymore. Like I said, I want to be able to go, a week without drinking and then have somebody be like, hey, man, let's go out for drinks and have 2 or 3 drinks.
No, but I've heard a lot of addicts say they have an on switch, but they don't have an off switch.
Yeah, that is true for a lot of them, but I've quit drinking before. I went an entire 1.5 years without drinking just because I was like, I wonder if I can do it. At first it was 6 months. Then after I got to 6 months, I was like, well, let's see if I can get it to 8. And then I got to 8, and then I was like, dude, I bet I can make it to a year. And so on and so forth until the 1.5 years, and then we lost my son, and just all tumbled away.
What do you think of Skid Row?
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Holy crap. Like, we're over by a freaking motel the first night, and they're literally pouring piss on us from the windows. So that was cool. Then we're back over here, not last night, but the night before, and some random crazy tweaked out black chick, you cannot be here. This is awesome. And I was like, fine, whatever. Where? Just across 7th Street. Like, fine, I'll go over there. And then our neighbor next to us is pretty cool because I'm allergic to opiates, which is the best / worst fucking allergy ever. If I break my arm, they give me Tylenol 3. But I can't ever do heroin or blues or any of that, which is freaking awesome. And I don't even drink caffeine, so meth is way out of the question. And she was actually really cool because she was talking to her buddy, and I heard her, and I was like, hey, guys, like, if you want to smoke some of that dope, you want to do it, like, outside of the tent so it's not coming in towards my tent? Because I'm allergic to that. It'll send me an anaphylaxis, and I don't feel like dying on Skid Row. And she was like, oh, yeah, no problem, dude. We'll go walk around the block.
You're on Skid Row. You're allergic to what everyone is smoking.
Pretty much, yeah. That's why I'm just hanging out in my tent waiting for my train.
All right, but so I've interviewed all 3 of you guys, so hopefully you'll have enough money to get out of here.
Oh, we do. We do now. $263, and between the 3 of us, that's $300. So we'll have snack money and everything as well.
Good
I
for
like
you.
snack money.
What would you say is the most important thing you've learned in your life?
The most important thing I've learned to love, man, and I don't mean just my wife or your friend, just people in general. Like, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they're going through.
That's one of the best answers I've ever heard.
And like, just to have love for humans in general. It doesn't matter what race, color, creed. I don't care your religion. Like, I just gave a dude my last bag of chips because he was like, bro, I haven't eaten in 2 days. And I was like, here, have a bag of chips. Nobody deserves to be
I ask
hungry.
this question of everybody. I think your answer is my favorite.
Well, it's true, man. We should love each other. If everybody had just a little bit more love, the world would be a lot better of a place. Just a lot.
Couldn't say anything better than that. Ted, thank you very much.
Not a problem, man.
Thanks.